I'm going to try and do this in a way that it doesn't get blocked on copyright, but the chances of that happening are slim. But here goes. On board with Maxwell Verstappen, Saudi 2021. Let's have a look. And closing. Pulls out. Seems to have disappeared out of view because he's passed him. Now look at this. Oh, that's convenient, isn't it? That's convenient of F1 TV to edit this so they don't show us what truly was going on and only show us Verstappen's steering inputs after he's done his dirty deed. Now, if you go to the global feed,
Verstappen kept on to the lead of the race.
I have to keep stopping it.
Max doesn't like to yield, does he?
Max doesn't like to yield, does he? Oh, he's uncompromising. He's argy-bargy. His elbows up. The kiddies like that, don't they? No. What Max is?
He'll use any.
What Max is? To all my dyslexic friends out there, Max is a C-nut.
Part of the racetrack. We'll take another look at that one.
Right. Let's have a look. So this is Hamilton. Remember. Rules of engagement. If you are attempting to overtake a car and you are approaching a corner, to be afforded room around that corner, if you're overtaking on the inside, you need to be at least halfway alongside the car that you're attempting to overtake. If you're on the outside, you need to be at least level with that car, if not ahead of the car that you're seeking to overtake. The reason for the difference is the lines around that corner are different. Okay, the inside line is the shorter route, isn't it? So if you're halfway alongside, you're taking a tighter radius, a shorter radius of turn. Okay, so you can get around that tight bend. If you're on the outside, you're taking a larger radius of turn. You've got to go further. So therefore, your start location has got to be at least alongside, and that's the difference. Lewis going for an overtake on the outside.
They've gone in side by side.
So DRS, he's got the slipstream as well.
Gone through down the inside line.
Hamilton is ahead at that stage. So it's clearly the braking zone because they're slowing for the corner. Hamilton is ahead. So he is entitled to be left room on the outside. So when you are the car, if you're overtaking on the inside, then what you must do is make sure that you leave the car that you're overtaking track room on exit of the corner. You can't run it off the track. Likewise, now Verstappen's having somebody attempt to overtake him on the outside, he has to leave him track room on the outside. Verstappen is taking a tighter line into the corner. The optimum line of this corner would be around about where Lewis is now, and if there were no other cars there, you'd come across here to the apex like that. You'd do that. Okay, Lewis has to stay wide to afford Verstappen room, and Verstappen has to slow his car sufficiently to get around there, leaving track room on his outside without making his way all the way to the far side of the track on exit, crowding his opponent off the track. So what happens?
And he's
gone in far too fast, because that's what he does. He throws it in there because he won't yield. That's filthy driving.
Yeah.
That's disgusting. Had Hamilton not bailed out there, he'd have been taken out. And this was a penultimate race of the 2021 season. Verstappen had got a lead whereby, had he have ever taken Hamilton out, which he tried in Brazil, which he tried here, which he tried in Abu Dhabi on that first lap, he'd have been crowned world champion. In the same way that Michael Schumacher attempted to do that and then actually got his results erased for the season. He got disqualified from that season for attempting to take the other driver out to win a championship. Managed it when he took a championship off Damon Hill.
They touch.
Well,
and then look at the advantage. So from going into that corner ahead, this is where it leaves Hamilton.
is that Brazil again?
Is that Brazil again? Look at this as well.
No, I think he was more ahead at that point.
Crazy now.
Yeah, he's picked up a low. Look at the right.
Max is virtually sliding sideways. He's gone in that fast. It's ridiculous. It's out of control. Look at him. Look at the angle of his front wheels. He's having to counter steer that much to not lose his back end. He's gone in that fast. He's having to counter steer to not lose his back end. Yeah? That's a left-hand turn. And he's got his right lock on. That's how bad it is.
Rear tyre not really biting. But Verstappen had his nose ahead, surely.
But Verstappen had his nose ahead, according to Martin.
Into that corner.
Because he
Validator. On the Red Bull payroll, is that Fluffer?
broke later than Lewis Hamilton.
Is it because he broke later? No, he doesn't bother. He just tries. He's like, oh, I'm not getting in this position. I'll just rather ram him off track. We saw that when he did that to Lando Norris at COTA 2024. When he did it to Lando Norris, we actually saw the red mist and just decided he was going to just try and ram Lando Norris at Mexico 2024 as well. It's one of his age-old tactics now. That's what this guy does. He doesn't like getting overtaken, so what he'll do, he'll just ram you off the track. People like that should be banned from the sport for life.
So that's why I ask, is it Brazil again?
Is it Brazil again? That's why I ask. Crofty, always asking the question. You know, as an expert of the sport, a paid presenter, he can't formulate the answers himself, can he? He's only there to ask the questions. He can't provide any expertise, even though he's in a position of being presented there as a knowledgeable person about Formula One. But he's always got to ask the question, hasn't he?
No, I think
Whereby
Brazil was
breaking later, Hamilton's Verstappen stays ahead.
No, Brazil was more of a professional foul than.
Brazil was a professional foul. What, trying to take somebody off the track? And had they not have left the track, you'd have crashed into them, knowing that you'd have become a world champion. You're calling that a professional foul? No, that's something you get your results for the season eradicated, banned for the season. Yeah, that's what it should be.
That was more blatant.
Now, let's look at this from a couple of different perspectives here. Again, likely to be blocked, but we'll try do that again. Driver cams. So, what's going on here? We are riding on board with Lewis Hamilton. Picture the scenario and put yourself in the position of Lewis Hamilton. You find yourself in a championship battle. You're attempting to win your record-breaking 8th World Championship. Your record equaling 5th consecutive World Championship. With 4 races of the season to go, you look down and out, and you had to essentially, banking on the fact that unless Verstappen suffered any kind of retirements, you're in a situation where you actually had to win all 4 races to become the champion. Okay, assuming that then in each of those 4 races, Verstappen was second. All right, should he have suffered a retirement, it would have changed the situation. But the likely scenario was Hamilton, in order to become champion, was going to have to win each of those 4 races. First of those was Brazil, where Verstappen ran him off the track. Then it was Qatar. I've not really gone through that in any great detail. Then this one. We've already had some filthy shenanigans in this one with Verstappen going off the track at turn 1. And, he got a free pit stop firstly. There was a safety car incident and he didn't pit. The 2 Mercedes cars did. And Verstappen stayed out on track, inherited the lead by not pitting. Should have then been disadvantaged, but no. Rather than that happen, what they did, they red flagged the race so that they then restarted with Max in the lead, but having had a free tyre change. That was that. Then at that restart, Verstappen went in too hot at the first corner, went off the track, okay, came back onto the track in an unsafe manner, made Lewis Hamilton have to take evasive action, and Esteban Ocon got through. Then Red Bull were able to negotiate the restart grid. that restart was well, the reason there was a restart grid there was because shortly after that incident there was a crash, wasn't there? So they had to red flag it again. And now Hamilton's gone for that overtake. Verstappen has once again refused to yield, rather try and crash him out of that race than yield. So this is the second time in 3 races where Hamilton has had to take evasive action to avoid getting crashed out so that Verstappen would have become world champion. Verstappen was willing to crash him out of the race twice in 3 races so that he'd become world champion, and Hamilton's had to avoid that. And this is now Hamilton driving this car in these conditions. It's at night, it's on one of these enclosed circuits, so realistically you've got kind of tunnel vision, all right? You've got the barriers either side in close proximity. You've got the pressure of trying to track this guy down to overtaking because you know you need to win the race, and you're working out, right, I've got to do this in such a way that I've got to make sure that this guy can't crash me out of the race. Look at what he's just done. That is crazy. He came onto the radio and go, this guy is dangerous. Now, Hamilton is driving, trying to track him and trying to work out how he can get this done and avoid being smashed out of the race. That is what this guy is having to deal with. So, he's gaining. He's down changing. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? He's had no radio communication whatsoever from his team informing him of anything. But what he's encountering is a situation which is like, whoa, what the fuck? And he's processing. Because if there's been a yellow flag, which he may not have picked up, okay, in all of this kerfuffle, he may be considering, have I just missed a yellow flag or something? Why is this guy in front of me slowing down? Because this isn't normal. This is not a place to slow down. He's in the middle of the track. He's not moved to one side. He's relatively in the middle of the track, slowing down. What's going on? If I've just missed a yellow flag and I go by him, then I'm going to get a penalty that's going to completely ruin my chances of winning this race in the World Championship. What's going on? That is highly likely what is going through Hamilton's head.
So
he's slowing down, and Max Verstappen brake tests him. Wiggles and brake tests. So, we'll do it again. Down change. So Hamilton's like, well, he's slowing. He wouldn't be down changing there normally. If you're letting a car through, then what you do, you make sure that you make it clear that that's what you're going to do. You go fully to one side of the track. That's not fully to one side of the track. And like I say, Hamilton had not been made aware that he was going to be given a position back. May not have been expecting it because Red Bull don't yield. Max never yields, does he? He's probably concerned that if he goes by him and he's missed a yellow, then he receives a penalty that ends his championship hopes. He's trying to process in a split second.
So they're asking you.
You never, in a Grand Prix, slow down to that sort of speed when you're still racing. When you're on relatively a straight of the track. What is going on? If you are letting somebody by, you do so in such an obvious manner that you don't result in that sort of situation. You don't stay in the middle of the track. You make it clear that that is what you're doing.
Asking Max to swap positions.
Bit late there, isn't it?
Just brake testing me.
Now, there is sometimes a lag on these audio communications. So whether Hamilton received that message in time, there's generally about a 4-second lag. Generally. That was my findings from Abu Dhabi. 45 seconds. And the reason they have a lag is that it gives them the opportunity to beep out any swear words. One,
So they're
two,
asking you to
three,
asking
four.
Max to swap positions.
So he might have just been given that information as he was actually hitting. Difficult to say. Without having the unedited footage, it's difficult to know exactly when Hamilton got that message. But why would he just drive up the back of a car when you're trying to win a world championship?
Just brake testing me.
He's on.
And if you're breathing like that, that would suggest that you are you're quite distressed about a situation. Now, they could be good actors, okay, but that to me seemed pretty authentic. Now, if we go to, where do we go to? This one here. And let's replay that incident via this view.
So let's give the position back to Hamilton.
So, Red Bull have decided they're going to give the position back to Hamilton.
To do that strategically.
Do that strategically. Yeah. So what you've done, you've committed an infringement. You've driven the other car off the track at turn 1. And what you're doing, you're now conceding position, but you'll do it in a way where you're going to get the position back with DRS. You're just filthy scumbags, aren't you, Red Bull? You're not going to accept that you've been overtaken validly, and what you've done is committed a filthy foul. Oh, well, what we're going to do, we're going to show that we're going to give the position back, but we'll do it strategically. So we'll do it in a way where we can immediately get the DRS to then retake the position. Yeah. So that's not really then giving it back, is it? No. Give it back strategically. So what that means is give it back before you cross the DRS line. You'll be then the trail car, you'll get the DRS. That's what that means. So what does Max do? Relatively central in the track at the moment.
Give the position back.
Have to keep stopping it. So you can see his steering wheel, 8th gear. Downshifting. He's not pulled to one side particularly. He's not made it obvious that he's giving a position back, is he? Down to 4th gear. And the impact. You wouldn't be going down to 4th gear at that point.
Give it back.
That you hear is him coming off the accelerator altogether and hitting the brake. Listen for the audio. Okay, down to 6th. Now listen to this bit. There's down changes, and then you'll hear him come off the accelerator, and that's when he hits the brake.
Give it back.
Disgusting. But it's then Red Bull protesting their innocence. Have to keep stopping it, but this is filthy as well.
I don't know what's going on here, Max. He's trying
I don't know what's going on here, Max.
to let him past. He's not going past.
You tried to let him past. He's not going past. Now, this is what abusive fucks in this world actually do. Gaslighting, abusive fucks. They perpetrate and then they present that they've done nothing wrong. In fact, they're the victim of it. This is Giampiero Lambiase, however you pronounce his fucking name. The bloke's also a C-nut. An absolute C-nut. So, again.
I don't know what's going on here, Max. He's trying
He doesn't know what's going on here, Max.
to let him past. He's not going past.
You tried to let him past. He's not going past. So, we'll go back to... We'll do this on tracker.
The Red Bull, just what is going on here in Jeddah tonight?
And Hamilton will lose a bunch of front downforce with that. So Max has been told to give it back. Maybe Lewis doesn't know that.
Well, Max is in the middle of the track. He has slowed down. Hamilton is slowing down too, but then Verstappen has kept applying the brakes. If you're going to give the place back, Martin, don't you want to be one side of the track or the other? Not
Absolutely right, Crofty. For a change.
in the middle of it.
Just brake testing me.
He's on.
I've just hit him, man. My wing's broken.
No, it's okay. It looks okay. He's been told to give you the position.
He just brake tested me, dude. I didn't know what's going on.
No, I don't. I mean, he was to the middle and to the right-hand side of the track. Lewis didn't know what was going on. Max had been told to give him the place back. That front wing looks badly.
I don't know. He was to the middle and to the right of the track. Martin. We're going to go on and look at Saudi 2025, and you describe Lewis's conduct as a bit naughty against Lando. What are you describing this as, Martin?
Damaged.
Well, you can see the reaction of Toto Wolff at the back of the Mercedes garage. That is the resultant damage to Lewis Hamilton's front wing. In a race and an evening where controversial incidents have rather cancelled each other out all the...
Oh, they've cancelled each other out, have they? How have they cancelled each other out, Crofty? A red flag benefiting Verstappen and Red Bull for a free tyre change. A negotiated grid benefiting Verstappen. Max there driving Lewis off the track, benefiting Verstappen. A brake test not properly punished, benefiting Verstappen. I'm failing to see where this balance is here, Crofty. Where's the balance? You're going to try and come up with the strap-on fanboy incited narrative of Valtteri Bottas slowing Max down when that safety car is deployed. You know, the one that they ultimately red flagged, so that Mercedes could actually double stack. Yeah, and that's when we again get the interjection from Red Bull's narcissistic fuck, Giampiero Lambiase. Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, this is. Yeah, they're backing him up. There's got to be within 10 cars. No, you haven't. You haven't. See, what you failed to understand there, what you failed to educate the fans with, is that when you get notified that the safety car is deployed for the first lap, approximately, until you've caught the safety car, then you drive to a delta. Okay, and that is a minimum time of arrival. All right, that means you slow down. The 10 car length rule does not kick in until you've caught the safety car and began to bunch. Initially, when you get notified that there's been a safety car deployed, you drive to a delta, which means you cannot exceed this you cannot be under this specific lap time. So, for example, you cannot come round this circuit in less than 2.5 minutes. That's what Bottas was complying with. If that delta is, for example, you cannot be quicker than lapping this circuit in 2.5 minutes, if Bottas has done it in 2 minutes 34 seconds rather than 2 minutes 30 seconds, there's no infringement there. But Red Bull get to project via F1 TV to incite the crazy, to incite the fanboy. Oh, look at these bastards, Mercedes, cheating. No, they're not, dickheads. But you don't understand that. And the reason you don't understand is because you've been incited by CNETs like Giampiero Lambiase or Lambiase or whatever the CNET's name is. Prodigy of Christian the CNET Horner.
The way through it, this might be one incident that is not going to be cancelled out.
Yeah, it's just dangerous driving, dude.
Unless the stewards say it was dangerous driving and they take matters into their own hands. Verstappen can...
Unless the stewards say it was dangerous driving. You can't identify that though, Crofty, can you? You know, if this was a game of football and the commentators of a game of football had just witnessed a guy doing a two-footed challenge going through their opposition player's knee, right? Would those commentators be able to go, oh, unless the referee does determine that to be a dirty challenge or not, we'll have to wait and see? Or would they just be able to say, that's fucking filthy? If that's not a red card, I don't know what is. That is not acceptable in the game of football. Would they be able to say that? Yes, they would. But not you, Crofty. Oh, will they determine that to be dangerous driving? Oh, we don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments section. Let's incite the fucking fanboy and the conflict. Let's get the engagement going over that, shall we? Absolute bastards, you in this sport.
Continues to lead this race, but that incident is under investigation by the stewards.
What on earth's going to happen next? But Lewis has got reasonable speed, hasn't he? Given
what on earth's going to happen next? Now let's just go through a little bit of that commentary again, because let's just make sure we've not missed anything from Brundle.
I mean, he was to the middle and to the right hand.
Been told to give you the position.
Place back, Martin. Don't you want to be one side of... He has slowed down.
Front downforce with that.
Hamilton ran into the back. Hamilton's Mercedes. What has happened there?
That.
I mean, he is giving it absolutely everything. Both are giving it absolutely everything.
Look at
I
this.
get the feeling it's going to happen again.
Max, so let's give the position back to Hamilton. Obviously, do that strategically.
Oh, they've touched and they've
Position
collided. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. How much damage on Hamilton's Mercedes? What has happened there?
They've touched, they've collided.
Verstappen being told to give the place back to Lewis Hamilton. Slowed down on the straight. Hamilton ran into the back of the Red Bull. Just what is going on here in Jeddah tonight?
And Hamilton will lose a bunch of front downforce with that. So Max has been told to give it back. Maybe Lewis doesn't know that.
Well, Max is in the middle of the track. He has slowed down. Hamilton is slowing down too. But then Verstappen has kept applying the brakes. If you're going to give the place back, Martin, don't you want to be one side of the track or the other? Not in the middle of it.
Just brake testing me.
He's on.
I've just hit him, man. My wing's broken.
No, it's okay. It looks okay. He's been told to give you the position.
He just brake tested me, dude. I didn't know what's going on.
No, I don't. I mean, he was to the middle and to the right-hand side of the track.
The sports expert can't identify a brake test, can't communicate to the watching world just how disgusting that is. This is a former driver, former Formula One driver, the person put forward as the foremost commentator and expert of the sport, had been for the previous 28 years at that point. That's all he can say. That's all Brundle can say about it. Can't explain to people just how disgusting that is.
Give you the position.
He just brake tested me though. I didn't know what's going on.
No, I don't. I mean, he was to the middle and to the right-hand side of the track. Lewis didn't know what was going on. Max had been told to give him the place back. That front wing looks badly damaged.
Well, you can see the reaction.
But Brundle was able to say that it was naughty of Lewis for opening the door for Lando Norris to get through to the DRS detection line first, so that Hamilton got the DRS when fighting for Norris at the 2025 Saudi Grand Prix. You can identify something that Lewis did, which was staying wide at a corner, opening up the inside line to afford Norris that, and you call that naughty. We've not heard anything like that said about Verstappen, have we, for what he's just done? What I'm going to do now is go through laps 11 to 20 of Saudi 2025, where we'll see that situation and compare what we've just heard from Brundle with what he says about Hamilton at Saudi 2025. Now, before I end this one, I just want you to listen to this bit.
Should he now give the place back, Max Verstappen, if he was being instructed to do so and it didn't happen? Should the first thing that happened be that he does give the place back?
Well, they'll say he was trying to, but...
Well, he might have been...
Martin Brundle presenting the Red Bull argument. Oh, well, Max was trying to give the place back.
Trying to, but let's have a look at it again. Well, actually, no, let's look at it. Valtteri Bottas on Daniel Ricciardo, and Bottas is trying to have his own race here, whilst his teammate is out battling away for the lead. Valtteri Bottas and Daniel Ricciardo having a good scrap, getting very close to each other. Ricciardo staying ahead. Let's go to Sky Race Control, Paul di Resta.
I can't work out what's going on, Crofty, because when Max was...
You can't work out, Paul di Resta, what's going on, can you? Now, you can't work out the dynamic that Hamilton needs to win 4 races out of 4. At the first of those 4, Verstappen drove him off the track. Hamilton had to avoid a collision. What we've just seen in this race is Hamilton got driven off the track, was nearly crashed out of the race. Hamilton is having to contend with that whilst trying to win this race. He's unaware what this unpredictable scene is going to do, but he does know he'll probably try and crash him out of the race if Hamilton doesn't make the perfect overtake and doesn't make sure he doesn't even give him a sniff of being able to do that. And the next thing you know, he's slowed down on the track in front of you, and you don't know what's going on because you're conscious that he might have missed a yellow flag or something. And the next thing you know, he's brake tested you. Oh, you can't work that out, can you, di Resta?
Moving to the side to let Lewis by. Lewis is actually downshifted and lifted and wouldn't go by him.
Go to Sky Race Control, Paul di Resta.
I can't work out what's going on, Crofty, because when Max was moving to the side to let Lewis by...
When Max was moving to the side... Yeah, when was that then, di Resta? When did Max move to the side to let Lewis by? You've just painted a scenario that didn't take place.
Lewis is actually downshifted and lifted and wouldn't go by him. I can't understand...
Oh, Lewis, I can't understand. You can't understand that Lewis was trying to work out what the fuck was going on.
Was he instructed to stay behind him because of that? And what I can't understand...
Was Lewis instructed to stay behind him because of that? What? Now this is where the narrative about the DRS detection comes in, isn't it? Oh, they're both trying to play cat and mouse for the DRS detection zone.
That's why he didn't
That's the bullshit that then comes out of this to validate strap-on.
go by him, because he left the space.
I don't think Lewis couldn't compute what was going on. I think he was maybe wondering if there was yet another virtual safety car or something. Debris on track. You can see the red and white flag there. But, you know, Max was... Do you think Max swerved at the last moment? Do you think he did? Because that's the key thing here.
Well, the thing is, Max
Do you think he did? Well, it's possible to see what he actually did.
was kind of central. But was Max Verstappen also trying to let Lewis Hamilton past in a DRS detection zone? Therefore, when giving that place to Lewis Hamilton, he's then got DRS to try and get past Lewis again, going down the main straight. Was that the tactic at play, which is a legitimate tactic, and we've seen that happen before?
Yeah, I think it was just a
It's not really giving the place back properly, is it, though?
misunderstanding. I think it was a misunderstanding, frankly.
Well, here comes Valtteri Bottas.
Yes, the brake test was a misunderstanding, quite frankly, says Brundle.
There's no misunderstanding about his pace. He's trying to get past Daniel Ricciardo. Second time of asking, he does, and into
Not once said that it's naughty from Max, so have you, Brundle?
turn one, manages to keep the car under control. Now, as far as Hamilton's concerned, it wasn't a misunderstanding. He says Max brake tested it.
Yeah,
We don't know that because we haven't got the data.
he was slow for a brake test. Is when you jam the brakes on and you suddenly slow down. He was slow all the way down the straight.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't slow all the way down the straight. He slowed from 8th down to 7th, 6th, 5th, 4th. Brake test. We heard that.
And of course, you'll remember back in Bahrain where Max let Lewis through, actually really badly.
So race control have instructed them to give the place back. I don't know if Verstappen has had that message yet.
Okay, understood.
So once again, Michael Massey at race control telling Red Bull to give the place back.
Well, they want to do that fast then, because if you've got to give it back, they want to give it back now and have 10 laps to come back at him.
But how much damage to that Mercedes car, and how easy will it be for Verstappen to come back at Hamilton? You can see the damage to that front wing end plate as he makes his way round the final corner. Verstappen slowing on the main straight.
But Red Bull will say, we tried to give him the place back, and he ran
Red Bull will say we tried.
into us. Mercedes will say, dangerous driving, he brake tested us.
Oh, there's the argument. There's the conflict. Because you won't determine what it actually was, will you? You won't identify what the real problem is. What does that do? That causes conflict. You incite the conflict, and all you do is fuel the fire.
Are we allowed to go by him?
Yes, you are allowed to go by him.
Well, he needs to slow up and let us. We had no idea who's going to do that.
This bloke's a gimp as well. I think that's Ron Meadows. What a gimp.
Excuse me, Ron, I came over and told you if you've got other channels going...
No, you told me as it happened. I was telling the engineer at the time.
Okay, well, Ron, I can only push as many buttons as I can.
Michael Massey, the race director, is a man with an awful lot on his plate tonight, but
an awful lot on his plate and many people pulling his strings.
Sounds like a bit of a mess in terms of the communication channels. And Ron Meadows, the sporting director at Mercedes, saying, look, you didn't tell us at the time. We did not have time to tell our driver that the place was being handed back. And look, I'm not the racing driver, Martin, you are. Max didn't look as if he was moving to one side or the other to make it easy for Lewis to get past.
Well, I think there was enough space, just Lewis didn't know what was going on. And obviously, and it's confirmed then, because the team didn't realise and they hadn't given him the piece of information at that time. Red Bull will be fighting furiously to say, we tried to give him the place and he ran into us.
Well, I wonder if that's what's happening at the moment as well.
No, Martin, because if you're trying to give them the place, then you'd make it obvious. You move right over, off the racing line, okay? Opening that racing line up for them to drive into. You make it clear what it is you're doing. That wasn't what Max Verstappen was doing, was it, Martin?
Well, because whilst the gap has gone down from 2.2 seconds to 1.6 seconds, Max Verstappen is still not letting Lewis Hamilton past. If the current state of play is that Hamilton will be getting past because Red Bull have been instructed. Meanwhile, Hamilton has now just picked up the fastest lap of the race, and a point to go with that.
I'm sorry, but Max left a lot of space to the inside.
Thanks for that, Martin. Look what he's doing now. Can't identify the brake test. Oh, and now he's backing up Max. Oh, I'm sorry, but Max left a lot of space. We all just saw what happened.
But then he accelerated immediately away from it again, didn't he?
Well, he did. At what stage did Hamilton know that he was being allowed past Max Verstappen?
Yeah.
That's the key here.
But Max has left a lot of space on the inside. He moved to the middle of the road. He's moving around a little bit, isn't he? In that.
He's left a lot of space on the road. He's moved to the middle of the road. No, he didn't move to the middle of the road. He already occupied that point, Martin. Didn't pull to one side to open that track up for the car that he was letting by, did he? Didn't make it obvious. I'm moving out of the way. There you go. I'm handing you the place back. There's ways of doing it which make it very obvious. Just like Kimi Antonelli did to let Charles Leclerc through on that first lap of Saudi 2025.
And then just immediately throttles away again.
And why was Lewis Hamilton slowing behind Max Verstappen and not going past? Did he think there was another virtual safety car?
There was definitely a bit of movement going on with the Red Bull, wasn't there, from that camera angle at the last moment.
As you rightly say, there was space, and then Max does turn a bit more to the left.
Yeah, initially there was plenty of space, but Hamilton didn't know.
Initially there was plenty of space.
Oh.
Wow.
Why didn't Verstappen could have been breaking down?
Is Verstappen letting him through now? Strategically again to get DRS.
Could have been had some kind of technical issue, but
right. So we're on board with Hamilton and Verstappen clearly slowing down. This is the DRS zone, and Max Verstappen, after letting Lewis past, now goes for a lunge down the inside and retakes the leads of the race. So he let Hamilton past. Hamilton scooted past, under braking. Verstappen takes the lead. Verstappen's got DRS to help him stay in front of Hamilton. And Max Verstappen has a 5-second time penalty for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. So he might have the lead of this race, but he's got a 5-second time penalty. And this is the first time that the stewards room itself has got involved to give an official penalty.
Leaving the track and gaining an advantage. What about crowding another car off the track? What about brake testing a car? What do you get for that? You usually get black flagged for brake testing a car. Crowding another car off the track, is that a 10-second penalty?
But then, is it right they had to give the place back? So it's like a double penalty at that point, isn't it? Yeah, my goodness, this is taking some keeping hold of.
Oh, poor Max Brundle, but that's like a double penalty. Brundle is on the Red Bull payroll. Brundle is cocksucker in chief for Red Bull.
And he cleverly gave the place back right at the...
Well, that's clever, isn't it? That's clever.
The last moment, Hamilton went past, and he's like, right, okay, thank you. I'm on the inside. I've got the grip. I can make this. So he kind of offered it, but took it back straight away, like, you know, giving you.
You see, sport is often championed as being a great thing for teaching people values in life. Sporting values, you know, ones where you compete as hard as you can in accordance with the rules of the sport, and you try and overcome your opponent, right, legally. But in doing so, you learn about yourself, you learn about your own capabilities, and you learn to respect the capabilities of your opponent as well. Now, these people presenting this as being sport is giving out entirely the wrong values. This is just fucking dirty. Just fucking dirty. But the strap-on fanboy fucking loves it, because that's the type of scene that the average strap-on fanboy is. You know, their values are reflected in their hero and the Red Bull setup. Absolute scum of society. Absolute fucking C-nuts.
Giving you a bar of chocolate and deciding I want it myself.
It's what he should have done in Bahrain.
Yeah. So look at that. Lewis goes into the lead. Hamilton's now got the inside line because...
And Max has got DRS.
Toto Wolff kind of grins as a racing driver himself and thinks, yeah, like, I know exactly what he did there. That was clever.
Now, Lewis had...
He thinks it's clever, does he?
And that incident is going to be investigated after the race. Not that one, that's been investigated. Verstappen's got a 5-second penalty for it, but that turn 27 incident is now going to be investigated after the race. It is Hamilton and Verstappen going for it again, and going for it again at turn 27, and Hamilton has now got past Verstappen. Lap 43 of this race, Hamilton now leads from Max Verstappen. Was that Red Bull being told to give the place back again because they weren't satisfied that Max did it properly the first time around? Either way, Hamilton's now got the lead, plus 5 seconds, and we're racing to the checkered flag.
And Verstappen's got the 5 seconds, as you say. They've got a pit stop behind them, so Red Bull will...
We didn't quite need to do that, Max. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
We didn't quite need to do that, Max. Now let's have a look what Max didn't quite need to do.
Max, info, we have been given a 5-second time penalty.
Now let's have a look what gear Max is in. 7th gear.
So that's just it for the moment.
We haven't dropped down to 6th, 5th and 4th, have we? No. And then come off the throttle and hit the brakes. We're on 7th gear.
We didn't quite need to do that, Max.
We didn't quite need to do that, Max. Filthy. Let's have a look what the perspective looked like from Hamilton's cam. Eighth gear. Making sure he got ahead. Now, Verstappen drove off the track, but if he was letting him through, then he'd slot him behind anyway. Didn't have to drive off the track. Let's just go back to tracker.
And going for it again at turn 27, and Hamilton has now got past Verstappen. Lap 43 of this race, Hamilton now leads from Max Verstappen.
Well, there we go on that. And just to finish off, this incident that was then going to be investigated after the race, the brake test, well, this is the report about it. So let's just see who the stewards are. Gary Connolly, one of the corrupt bastards from Abu Dhabi 2021. Here he goes. Car 33 braked in a manner which caused a collision with car 44. Breach of Article 2, of the FIA International Sporting Code. A 10-second time penalty imposed after the race. But did him no damage, did it? Oh, we'll determine the penalty after the race when we can apply a time penalty that's not going to result in a change of position for him. That's a useful penalty, isn't it? Just 2 penalty points on your licence for brake testing somebody. It's a black flag. It's a race ban. It's more than that. Schumacher got disqualified from an entire season for trying to take out a title rival to win the championship. So, the reason: the stewards heard from the driver of car 33, Max Verstappen, the driver of car 44, Lewis Hamilton, and team representative reviewed the video and telemetry evidence and determined that the driver of car 33 was predominantly at fault. Not fully to blame, just predominantly. At turn 21, the driver of car 33 was given the instruction to give back a position to car 44 and was told by the team to do so strategically. Car 33 slowed significantly at turn 26. However, it was obvious that neither driver wanted to take the lead prior to the DRS detection line 3. That's the narrative that the FIA stewards want to present about the brake test. It was obvious that neither driver wanted to take the lead. Is that what was obvious? Because that wasn't what was obvious to me. It wasn't obvious to Lewis Hamilton. It didn't appear that Lewis Hamilton was concerned about the DRS detection line. He was more concerned about what the fuck is going on with this guy in front of me. Have I missed something? Why is he slowing down on track? Shit, bang. That didn't appear that Hamilton was in any way concerned about the DRS detection line. So, the driver of car 33, the victim, stated he was wondering why car 44 had not overtaken. Oh, as he was in the centre of the track, weaving around and brake testing. Oh, the victim, Max Verstappen. Max did nothing wrong. Red Bull did nothing wrong. Yeah. Had not overtaken the driver of car 44 stated not having been aware at that stage that car 33 was giving the position back. Was unaware of the reason car 33 was slowing. There you go. In deciding to penalise the driver of car 33, the key point for the stewards was that the driver of car 33 then braked suddenly. 69 bar. 69 bar. Now, I don't know, relatively speaking, what that equates to. What the actual number of bar lightly pressing the brakes is compared with fully jumping on the brakes. I've not got a comparative bar reading, okay? But evidently, the stewards felt it necessary to include that in their report because it must be significant enough. And significantly, resulting in a 2.4 G deceleration. Now again, what's a 2.4 G deceleration? How do we equate that to what we can use our real world experience in? What does that feel like if you're driving a car? How much brake pressure have you got to put on your brakes to then experience a 2.4 G deceleration? And what does a 2.4 G deceleration feel like? I would suggest it's pretty significant though, because these drivers have got lightning quick reactions, and Lewis ended up in the back of him. Whilst accepting that the driver of car 44 could have overtaken car 33 when the car first slowed, we understand why he and the driver of car 33 didn't wish to be the first to cross the DRS. Utter bollocks. Not in any way taking account of the fact that Hamilton was probably concerned about, had he missed something? Had he missed a yellow flag? Was there a virtual safety car? Was there something on track that he was not aware of? And in the back of his mind, he's thinking, if I go by him and I'm not allowed to go by him, that will be Hamilton that gets a penalty and Hamilton's World Championship over. This guy that's ran him off the track twice in 3 races isn't going to give him anything. So what's going on? And you're painting that scenario as being, oh, both of them drivers are reluctant to take the lead because they want the DRS. That's the bullshit narrative you're giving this. However, the sudden braking by the driver of car 33 was determined by the stewards to be erratic, dangerous, and hence the predominant cause of the collision, and hence the standard penalty. The standard penalty. A brake test is not a standard 10 seconds for this type of incident is imposed. Competitors are reminded they have the right to appeal certain decisions of the stewards in accordance with Article 15 of the FIA International Sporting Code, Chapter 4. There you go. And if you go back to this, you can then go to the final race classification. And when you go on to that, final race classification, what did that do to it? Fuck all. That penalty did nothing. Max Verstappen still picked up 18 points. 10-second penalty, 5-second penalty, and then a 10-second penalty, and it did nothing. So it was no effective penalty, was it? Absolutely nothing. Absolutely disgusting. Anyway, thank you for your time on this one. We'll see. We'll see firstly if it gets uploaded, see if it passes the copyright checks, and then how long it stays active, because I've got quite a number of videos that have, over the course of time, been blocked, even though they've had several thousand views. Some of them, they've ultimately detected something that they don't want the world to see, so they'll use the excuse of copyright to block it. Thank you for your time.